r/Askreddit. What folklore creature do you think really exists? NYC sewer alligators. In the early 20th century, small alligators as pets were apparently a popular thing among kids, and when they started to get too big, parents allegedly disposed of them by throwing them down the drains, or into the sewers like dead goldfish. I can totally see them living off the massive sewer rats and growing to be a decent size, and a dark, dank, muddy environment like the NYC underground seems like a viable habitat for them. They were also the inspiration for Doc Connors from Spider-Man. New York also has a large subterranean homeless population from which people disappear but aren't reported as missing all the time. Oh, tell more. There was an amazing documentary called Dark Days which was done back in 2000 about the underground homeless population in NYC. This is a link to the trailer, links in the video description. This is a link to the full documentary, but unfortunately with a bunch of narration edited over it. I think it was probably a DVD extra talking about the making of the documentary. Links in the video description. I unfortunately can't find a version of this without the narration. When I first watched it without the narration, it was amazing. The other documentary CHUD covered it pretty well too. Megaconda. It's just a really big anaconda, and since those snakes grow continually throughout their lives, I wouldn't be surprised if some have, in the past, gotten over 50 feet or more. There are unconfirmed sightings of anacondas around that length actually. The problem with confirming these things is that you would have enough people, and strong people at that, to hold it out all the way extended and measure it, or you would have to kill it somehow NBSP, before it got away. So like, basically impossible. Just hold a wireless mouse against it as it slithers past, then measure how far the cursor moved on the monitor. Or you can knit a sweater for it. If the sweater fits, that's your measurement. If not, then knit a new sweater. This has to be the dumbest idea I ever heard. Snakes don't even have arms, I mean you'd be wasting all that extra yarn. You'd have to knit something like a leg warmer, but for a snake. You make it a sweater vest, you muppet. Might not be new to most people, but the jackalope actually does exist. Technically. The jackalope is a North American legend, a rabbit with antlers. In reality, it's a rabbit suffering from a virus that causes weird growths on its head. Can confirm. It's a papillomavirus, similar to HPV in humans, but for whatever reason bunnies are more susceptible to having it go haywire. If you look up the tree man, that's an example of the virus going haywire in humans. Edit, not suited for work, but kinda disturbing image. Quote. Life is disgusting. Yeah, I googled it too. What the fuck? He went through surgery and looks a lot better now. Not true from what I've read. He has relapsed since 2017 when he was cured, and articles published earlier this summer described him pleading for doctors to amputate his arms to rid him of the pain. His current condition is supposedly as bad now as it was years ago. There was another tree man, but he's dead now, so he's doing both better and worse depending on your view. The Pukai. Pukai. In Maori mythology, the Pukai or Pukai is a monstrous bird. In some of these legends, Pukai kill and eat humans. The myth may refer to the real but now extinct Haast's eagle, the largest known eagle species, which was able to kill adult moa weighing up to 230 kilograms, 510 pounds, and which had the capability to kill a small child. Haast's eagles, which only lived in the eastern and northwestern South Island of New Zealand, did not become extinct until around 200 years after the arrival of Maori. Pukai are depicted in early rock shelter paintings in South Canterbury. Large amounts of the eagle's lowland habitat had been destroyed by burning by AD 1350, and it was driven extinct by overhunting. Both directly, Haast's eagle bones have been found in Maori archaeological sites, and indirectly, its main prey species, 9 species of moa and other large birds such as adzebills, flightless ducks, and flightless geese, were hunted to extinction at the same time. Of Maori myth? Or at least, it did exist. We've got fossils. The Maori killed off its food supply. Edit, it's the Haast's eagle. Had the capacity to kill a small child. I'm raising a small child, and that attribute is not impressive. They're all actively pursuing death. It's because they've had mystical glimpses into the future of adult life. Kill me. They seem pretty happy apart from when they don't get bananas or daddy's phone though. Moklambembe. A sauropod that lurks in the massive jungle/swamp/rainforest in Central Africa. Spent way too long scrolling to find this. The Congo Basin has so many remote areas. If a large cryptid did exist, it would be the best place. I lived in the Congo for a bit and my father was a bush pilot. You could fly for hours without seeing any sign of life. Planes go missing there all the time, just crash into the jungle and the jungle swallows them whole. They told us that if your plane crashes you better hope you die on impact because any sign of you will be gone by sunrise. That's fucking insane. Would you be able to trek through it or would that be equally suicidal? I mean honestly, what would be the point? It'd be many days before you could find anyone and you'd be way out of your element with the wildlife. I can't imagine you'd be able to sleep well. Sleep deprivation and hunger would take their courses, etc. Yeah, I imagine it would be the ultimate test of survival. Probably much better thrills to seek out there in the world, lol. I can't even imagine all over the huge and disgusting bugs. Most of the ocean things I wouldn't be surprised by. Considering coelacanths were thought to be extinct until relatively recently, I think it makes sense that there's all sorts of crazy shit down there that we might never discover. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Also Mothman, just because I think it's hilarious and too ridiculous to be fake. If Mothman did exist, it would be fucking terrifying. If I found out Mothman actually existed, I'd nope the heck out of this life. Kinda scared to Google in case of scary or creepy image. I'm fucking weak, sorry. What's Mothman? Edit. Thanks everyone for answering. You rock. Back in like the 1900s there was a reporting of a couple, I'm pretty sure, they saw a giant man with wings and red eyes flying in the nighttime. Fast forward another 100 years or so and there has been numerous reports of this creature. Most people claim to have seen him right before a catastrophic event happening such as the falling of the Silver Bridge. Nobody knows if he is there to warn us of these events or if he is the cause of them. One town even has a memorial of him. Dude could have at least warned of us. 9/11. Shaking my head. I would not be terribly surprised for us to discover a North American ape or monkey living in the deep woods. But I will be shocked if it is more than 2 feet tall and 50 pounds. We humans are unbelievably bad at estimating size and distance. Ask any hunter about ground shrinkage and that is on an animal they love and know passionately and spends years staring at. Someone catching a glance of something odd and remembering it huge is not even a little unusual. There are monkeys in Florida, not native of course, but we do have wild monkeys now. We do. Roommate once proclaimed, "Yo, there's a cat on your mailbox." Of course, I'll race to the porch to see. Sure enough, there's a furry gray blob sitting on the mailbox. My other roommate just kept murmuring, "Kitty. Kitty." It's a kitty, but then its tail dropped and curled, quite unlike a cat, and its head turned towards us. You've never seen a bunch of Florida girls hauling ass faster before, I swear. We ended up calling wildlife control and they found it 2 houses down. It was not the first in our area, and sadly it wasn't the last. There's more now, specifically around the parks, and they are not nice. Monkeys rarely are. They're little assholes. They're proto-humans, what do you expect? Laughs in bonobo. The two I think are most likely. The Kraken. Giant squid have finally been conclusively proven to exist in the last decade or so. It's not beyond belief an even larger variety is out there, or was still extant in the age of sailing. The other is Bigfoot/Sasquatch. While the most well-known sighting/recording has been proven a hoax, the stories of them go back hundreds of years in native tribes. The description is not that far off from the Gigantopithecus that once really did exist. While it seems unlikely a sustainable breeding population of those could have remained alive this long, it's not impossible. We've rediscovered other species thought extinct, and the Pacific Northwest is huge and there are a lot of very remote forests. I'm a lot more dubious of this one, but these are the two that seem the most plausible to me. Edit. I've been told multiple times that the Patterson film was not disproven, so I stand corrected on that. For some reason I thought I heard he recanted it as a hoax, but I am in error. Survivor man Les Stroud is the one person who keeps my fascination of Bigfoot alive. That man has spent more time alone in the wilderness than most. He spent a year living in a remote cabin in Ontario and has talked about an encounter that he couldn't explain. There are few television personalities that I would trust more than Les Stroud. He's a credible dude. President Theodore Roosevelt, a highly experienced outdoorsman, documented in his journal about an encounter he had with what he believed to be one in Wyoming, and shared reports of natives and mountain men who encountered it and even one who was attacked. Pretty interesting considering if anyone was familiar with Western wildlife at the time, it was him. I'd love to believe that one day when we have mastered the whole space travel thing, We will detect alien life on another planet which will freak everyone out, mass panic. Then we go to their planet for a little look and it's just a bunch of Ewoks jabbering about being adorable. But Ewoks are terrifying, they eat other sentient creatures and can fight and win over a technical superior trained soldiers. According to the legend's lore, Ewoks have magic that can completely destroy planets. So don't fuck with the Ewoks, man. Is there anything in SW lore that doesn't destroy planets? Death Star 2. Oof. Russian Yeti. There was a 3-hour documentary on Discovery and it freaked me out. Somebody wanted me to go on an expedition in the Ural Mountains to find a Yeti. They provided me with audio titled Yet Screams and I declined. First of all, they are probably not real, and second of all, who the fuck wants to find a Yeti? Those things are horrifying and fuck knows if they're aggressive or not. What do you do that people randomly ask you to go on expeditions? Drugs. Lots of them. I guess all my countrymen are still asleep down in the southern hemisphere so no one's posted it. But the Min lights are definitely something real and more than just something you can blow off. Yowies are also probably out there, along with other things. Australia, same as Canada, is so big and so uninhabited that, at least to me, it's really not that hard to accept that there are things out there that we don't know about. I mean, for all we know, maybe these creatures are subterranean and are rarely on the surface. Wait, are Min lights those lights that appear out of thin air in the distance? Because we have the same legend here in Argentina, just with another name, the bad light for a direct translation. Yeah, the legend is that they lead you to your death if you follow them basically. I've always called them will-o-wisps. I have heard of them as being called will-o-wisps also. I'm sure there is a version almost everywhere. Fairy lights is another name. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Experimental Journeys.